welcome to the Nintendo Prime Podcast, episode number 4 of our rebooted podcast. To my kind of in front of me now, not even right. My left, but hey, it's your guys' right. We have the co-host, as always, Mr. Eric Moore.
Hello.
Rocking the sexy Zelda shirt today,
oh, yeah.
I see.
Well, because I wore blue and then I blended into the background, so...
I mean, that's your own problem.
No, I know.
Forget that blue is my favorite color.
No, I know. I know.
And then, obviously, we have up on the TV for you guys, Mr. Captain Bergeson.
Hello, that's me.
You guys, if you even know who he is...
I have a less sexy Zelda shirt.
There you go. That's true. If you even know who he is, I'd be surprised. But if you do, it's from probably the Hylian Games cast over at Game Over Jesse's channel. We just had Game Over Jesse on a couple weeks ago. He actually showed up. So, how about that?
There you go.
Progress. Right. We're making progress with that guy. All right, so... I guess let's just get this thing started. We have just like 3 things to talk to you guys. There's no like major news that's been happening per se, unless all you care about is Switch Pro, and we just did a whole episode on that last week. So let's talk about Mario's 35th anniversary, because it comes to an end this month. All right, pretty much everything that was going to happen for it has already happened. All the Splatfest, the Animal Crossing content's out now. We have even the Super Nintendo World is now open, which wasn't part of the celebration, but it's all Mario themed, so it might as well be part of the celebration. They have that open out in Japan now. But I think the biggest reason there's really 2 reasons to talk about the 35th anniversary of Mario. 1, did Nintendo do a good job and do enough? 2, Nintendo's doing something that only Nintendo does. And that is, at the end of this month, 2 Mario games, well, 4 altogether, are just vanishing. Like they don't exist anymore. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, nice reminder that Mario 35, which you only play if you're a part of the Nintendo Switch Online service, and then Super Mario 3D All-Stars is gone, physically and digitally. So it's not just going out of print, won't even be in the eShop. It just doesn't exist anymore. So... what are your guys' thoughts on Nintendo? First off, let's start there with eliminating games. What are your guys' thoughts on this and why Nintendo is doing it? And are we ever going to see these games again? And was this even a good idea for them? Because it almost feels like a sour way to end the 35th anniversary of Mario. Anyone?
Go ahead.
Well, like the obvious answer I want to say is that the generate demand thing, right? The whole, it's a limited time, so you have to buy it. It's a now or never thing, and it entices people that way. But then Mario 35 is not really it's pretty much a free game. So I almost feel like that line of reasoning doesn't work for that game, unless it's that they don't want to keep servers up or running or devote those resources to it. Well, for too long or something. I mean,
Tetris 99 is free and has been for a while.
That's true.
But they also sell a physical version now. So you could buy it. You don't have to have the online service. So, like, Mario 35 is a lot of fun. I understand that, like, who cares it was free, but it's also, but now we just don't have it at all. Like, at least Tetris 99, to take that away, you can still buy and play it if you want. So,
True. Yeah.
Like, for people who care about game preservation, it's kind of a... whoopsies, we're just not going to be here anymore. Have a good day.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, like, Mario 35 is it's really neat, and I think there's some hopes out there for, like, a DK 40 or a Zelda 35 or something like that this year. Who knows? Maybe that's why it's going away, because they're going to replace it with another similar game from another franchise potentially. So I can maybe see a justification for that. But 3D All-Stars, the game has sold probably at this point 10 million copies. And I get that part of the reason it sold so well is that fear of missing out. The FOMO Nintendo created by saying, hey, you can only get this game for a very small, limited amount of time. But at the same point, dude, it's a game that sold 10 million copies. Why are they discontinuing it? It's like leaving money out there that they could just keep trickling. Like, literally right now, if they just said, hey, look, we're done. Like, we're not going to, get rid of it. Nobody's going to be mad about that.
Yeah.
No.
So
no, they're
just
like
leaving
heroes.
money on, like,
They'd be like, oh, Nintendo listened to our feedback. That's great. It would be a good PR move, actually.
Right.
Like,
For sure.
The only thing I could think of is if Nintendo is that greedy, which they might be, and they're just going to get rid of 3D All-Stars so they could sell these games individually later and sell them for a higher price, like $30 a pop, $40 a pop.
Yeah. Well, I have a theory that these games are going away, but they're going to go away kind of like the NES Classic did for a little bit, right? They're going to go away, come back. They said that was a limited run. It came back. I have a feeling that, like, in part, touching off what you said, that they're going to sell these games individually. They're going to take it away now, wait till Zelda's anniversary is done, let that have its run, and then bring back the Mario games, possibly individually, maybe bring back All-Stars, but I have a feeling that may be what they're doing.
Yeah, I think it's a stupid move. I can't think of any, like, positive... Like, yeah, I get that Nintendo could sell them more individually later. People are just going to look for used copies of 3D All-Stars instead of buying those games. And because it sold 10 million, there'll be plenty of used copies out there to buy. So I just don't... I don't see a benefit for... Even if... let's presume that, like Mario 35, they're replacing it with a Zelda 35th collection, right? Because right now, we only know for Zelda, we only know Skyward Sword HD. We don't know about any other games, including Breath of the Wild. We don't even know... We know we're going to get news about Breath of the Wild, but we don't know if it's actually going to be releasing in the window of the 35th anniversary. So, I think it will be. But we'll talk about more on that later. But I think that we need to... even if they were going to replace it, I don't think that a 3D Zelda All-Stars deters sales from a Mario 3D All-Stars. They're different kinds of games. Yeah, there's some audience overlap because Nintendo fans. But, I mean, that's like saying, hey, look, Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out. We better stop selling Mario Odyssey. It might impact sales.
I think part of it has to do with generating as much sales right away as you possibly can.
Yeah, I understood that to a point, but I understood that before Animal Crossing blew up. Because I could see Nintendo saying, oh, we're in a pandemic, we're not going to have as many games coming out, we need to push sales, so let's make this a limited time thing. And instead, they had the best sales year ever. They had a game sell more copies for a exclusive game than in the history of exclusive games that aren't pack-in. So they didn't. By the time they announced Mario 3D All-Stars, they didn't need it to be that game anymore. And that's before we knew that things like Age of Calamity was going to come out. Bowser's Fury and 3D Mario and Bowser's Fury blew up as well. That's selling incredibly well. So it's one of those, I could see them doing it like a year ago, where they're thinking, okay, maybe we got to worry a little bit. But then by the time it came to announce it, it's kind of like, okay, we don't need to do that. We don't need a boost in sales. And Nintendo's not a company to me that ever feels like they're worrying about, we need to do something right now. Like, yes, Shintaro Furukawa factually said they view it as do or die every year, but by the time they had the 35th Mario announcements, they weren't dying. They were doing quite well.
Yeah.
So, the only thing I can think of, the only one justification I can see for what they're doing. Guys, remember the NES and SNES classics?
Yeah.
Of course.
Obviously.
So, like, the NES Classic in particular, they stopped making it, right? There was a limited time thing. People got pissed, okay? The SNES Classic comes out. People are like, what the hell are we going to do about the... Like, we still want the NES. Why are you bringing out the SNES? They brought the NES Classic back and saw a massive boost in sales. So, the one thing I can think of is they're thinking, look, we always do this evergreen thing, right? We sell 1 million, say we sell 1 million next quarter, 1 million the quarter after. What if we just stop and create an artificial demand, and then a year from now bring it back for a month, and in that month sell 4 or 5 million instead of selling trickle sales all along? Because we're like, hey, we're bringing it back for a limited time.
I think you can only do that for so long until people catch on to what you're doing, and then that just basically stops being productive.
They haven't done it with a game yet. See what I'm saying?
No,
they did it with a piece of hardware.
You're right. But
that they always said was limited, and then demand was so high, they're like, well, we're stupid. We got to make more.
Well, right.
And granted, we're not saying demand for 3D All-Stars is super high at the moment. I mean, it's high right now because people are worried they can't get it. but it's also not nearly as high as it was at launch. So clearly, it's the demand is degraded a little because it's I mean, go to the eShop, buy it right now. It's not that hard to get. Stores have a lot of people. I think there's this impression that we're going to get to April 1st and you just can't find the game anymore. Well, you can't find it on the eShop.
I'm sure there'll be stocks everywhere.
Yeah, they're still printing copies of it all the way up through the 31st.
Right.
There's going to be new shipments factually of the game landing in early April.
Yeah, you just won't be able to find it digitally.
Get this game going into summer. And then in this summer, by the time Mario Golf hits, it might be pretty hard to find a new physical copy out there. But it's an interesting strategy, and I don't. Like, here's the thing: I own a copy, and I kept thinking to myself, would I own a copy of 3D All Stars if they didn't do this? Because I think I'm the consumer they were trying to target, someone who really wasn't interested in it in the first place. Not because I don't like the games, but because honestly, I'm not a person that replays games a lot unless they're very specific games, like Zelda games. I replay those. But I don't really replay Mario games. Like Mario Odyssey, haven't touched that thing in 2 years. Haven't had a reason to. They didn't release DLC, so haven't had a reason to turn the game on.
Which I'm kind of surprised they haven't, dragged that along a little bit.
Surprise.
That's actually one of the rumors out there that's why we're getting Mario Odyssey 2 eventually here, because they had so many ideas for content. They said, hey, let's make a new game.
Yeah.
Which supposedly is what happened with Breath of the Wild 2 as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Who knows? So I think that when I think about what they're doing with Mario, I just think they are making a situation, creating a situation that in hindsight they don't need. But then again, did it work because I ended up buying one? But did I buy it because of the fear of missing out? Or did I buy it because my YouTube channel was blowing up at the time?
Yes.
Well, it begs the question, like, maybe they didn't need to do it, but they still made a lot of money doing it anyway. So as a company, like a business first, there's no reason not to, just because you don't have to. I don't have to eat a bucket of Nutella sitting on my couch at 10 p.m., but I still do it.
Yeah.
So
so my thing is, fine, discontinue the physical, but why? I mean, why get rid of digital? What do you have to lose getting rid of digital? Like, it doesn't.
Well, I guess because there's that idea of like,
I have a game that
people
you
who
can't
will
get.
put it off buying it. They're like, well, I played Mario 64 way back. I don't need to buy it. And then they put it off. Oh, whatever. I could just get it digitally later. But if you cut that off, then that urgency moment is there.
So basically, So what you're saying is, I could take my Switch, go out to my kids when they get like new Switches later this year, and be like, "Ha! You can't play this game. Fuck you." That's like,
exactly like that too.
That's exactly what Nintendo intended. No,
the good part of all this is the memes with Sephiroth stabbing Mario.
Oh god, the memes are great.
Nintendo.
The memes are classic. Yeah. The memes are classic.
Great memes.
So, okay, so they're doing it. There's nothing we can do about it. The question is, do you guys like what they did for the 35th anniversary of Mario? Keep in mind, they have celebrated like the 25th before and 20th, just like they did with Zelda. But do you even remember what they did for the 25th and 20th for Mario? Does anybody?
They had an All-Stars pack for the 25th, didn't they? On the Wii? Sure. But it was just the Super Nintendo Super Mario All-Stars.
Yep, same thing that they did this time around too. They did that on the online service this time. But like, they didn't go all out like this. They actually went all out and somehow did it without a brand new mainline Mario game. But I think they got away with it because Bowser's Fury. Have you guys checked that game out yet?
Oh, I beat it twice. 100%. It's great. It's so good.
I don't think Eric's tried it yet. I'm telling you right now, Bowser's Fury, which is...
What are you talking about?
You have Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury?
No.
Oh, yeah, I know you played it on stream, but I mean, have you played it since then? Okay,
but still, it was really good when I played it. Yeah, it was really good when I played it.
And tell me if you think that's what the future of the Mario series should be. Because it was insanely incredible, especially right up to the end. It had a really great ending. And I'm not going to spoil it for people who haven't got there yet. I feel like that kind of vindicated we didn't release a new mainline Mario game, but hey, we gave you this, which is kind of teasing you for what a new mainline Mario game
Are you talking kind of the open world? You can go wherever you want, get whatever star you want type.
Oh yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
The freedom.
It's the perfect marriage of Odyssey and 3D World in my view. But there's actually some theories that the Bowser Sphere expansion was originally DLC for Mario Odyssey that they retooled so that they could resell 3D World and tack that on at full price. And
I mean, not a bad decision.
I can see that because the progression, the way you collect the shines, it all does feel very Odyssey, but in 3D World with the power-ups and everything. But like they pretty much all the challenges that you need power-ups for in that, you could have had an enemy in Odyssey that you capture and use for those in theory, right? So I don't know. There's a theory that they might have retooled that, and I'm like, oh, it makes some sense. But they even added the dive from Odyssey into 3D World to add to Bowser's Fury. So
see, I don't
that wasn't
think,
in the original game.
So like you talked about marrying Mario Odyssey and 3D World together. I don't know that
totally. You've got the open sandbox world of Odyssey. But you've got 3D World's controls and power-ups and Plessy and all that good stuff.
Sure.
It definitely just feels like the perfect mesh of those two.
Sure. I know. I could see that. And
Odyssey had like a whole world themed after Super Mario 64, for example.
Oh yeah.
What's to say they didn't have planned other themed worlds after other games, including they could have had a 3D World themed world that was this, and they just
You're right. You're not
retooled it to fit in here.
Oh, totally. It's an interesting thing. I kind of want to see Bowser's Fury become a full game someday.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that was the thing. We wanted to test it, see how it was received. If people like it, let's go this way. Because Mario Odyssey really was like open world, but still not. The levels were still self-contained.
Yeah. This is full open world.
Which, by the way,
if I remember
is exactly like what 3D World's like. They're all self-contained levels. You can go anywhere you want within the level, but they're self-contained.
True. But the way they're designed
to be
very linear, whereas Odyssey is very sandbox.
Oh yeah. So it was just an interesting thing to see them do it the way they did. So if anything, I feel like the 35th anniversary of Mario was done, I guess, about as well as they could do without having a new mainline game. I mean, if you think about it as starting with the release of Paper Mario, ending with, I guess, the content in Animal Crossing. It feels like, in between there, they did so much. I mean, we got AR, Mario Kart, for crying out loud, that doesn't get enough pub. Like that, it's incredible. Maybe it's because people are stuck inside, so like everyone's waiting to make all these courses with their friends, and they can't right now. But like, dude, that it works incredibly well. And you expand that into all the other stuff they've released from the hardware, and obviously, there's some things people aren't happy about, like the handling of the pin sets and how hard it was to get those. I mean, they did a good job. I don't know what else to say other than I'm disappointed, mostly in 3D All-Stars going away.
Yeah, what they did is working, so I mean
it's working for Nintendo.
Yeah. Right, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying customers, I'm saying Nintendo.
But we should be worried about the customers more so than Nintendo, shouldn't we? Not like we work for them. Nintendo doesn't give me the fat check.
Nintendo has money.
I know.
Nintendo has my money. That's the problem.
But as a business, that's what all businesses think about is, how do I make money? And they're making the correct decisions, I'm guessing, just based on them making money.
They do make a lot of money. All right, so I know this next topic is going to end up diving a bit into Switch Pro, but because the article itself did. But Bloomberg put up a new article about Switch because a bunch of analysts feel like Switch peaked in this last fiscal year, and it is now on the downswing, which probably coincides with the fact that PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X keep selling out and clearly are popular, and the thought process that they're going to have a bunch of major games coming out. Nintendo doesn't necessarily have any massive software currently announced for this year. Splatoon 3 isn't, potentially a year or more away, and the biggest game is what? Mario Golf? Super Rush? If you don't care about a Wii HD port. So, yeah, you could talk about new Pokemon Snap, Most people don't feel like that's going to do incredibly well. I think it's going to sell incredibly well, but some analysts don't think it's going to. And then, we have Brilliant Diamond and Brilliant Pearl probably this holiday, but again, lukewarm reception to that as well. So Nintendo doesn't seem to have like the big, exciting hitters announced yet. So analysts are like, look, everything else is coming. The other systems are about to have their big games land. Sounds like Starfield for Xbox is being announced this summer as a big holiday game. Halo Infinite's going to be coming. PlayStation's starting to get their lineup ramped up. And Nintendo's just kind of sitting here like, hey, we got Skyward Sword HD. We got Mario Golf. Are you good? So analysts are like, man, Nintendo's on the downswing now. But not so fast, according to Takahashi Machizuki at Bloomberg. He has said and noted that Nintendo has ordered 250 million physical Switch cartridges.
Good Lord.
That would be an all-time physical sales record for Nintendo in a single year. This is even before the age of digital sales.
That is nuts.
Now, granted, all those don't have to be necessarily for this year. It could be for 2022. But the point is, they have never had an order this big before.
They're all going to the same game.
250 million, yeah. 250 million ordered. And obviously, Takahashi Machizuki's on the train that, hey, my sources are saying new Switch hardware is coming this year as well. That'll boost things this holiday. Okay. So, do we think Nintendo Switch, entering the midway point, according to Furukawa, is actually starting to go, maybe it's plateaued now, and we're going to hit the downswing. Maybe the plateau was Animal Crossing, and now we're going to start sinking down, because the thought process, I suppose, and for most analysts is Nintendo systems typically peak in like years 2 and 3. The peak for Switch took a little bit longer, and maybe theoretically it would have peaked in 2019, but then the pandemic happened, which boosted all system sales for everyone. So the pandemic added that extra peak. Do we think that regardless of what Nintendo has to announce, which we know Breath of the Wild 2 is in the works, we know Metro Prime 4, Splatoon 3, those three we know for sure, plus Bayonetta, which isn't really that big of a seller. Actually, Metroid isn't technically that big of a seller traditionally either. So, yes, Nintendo likely has some big sellers in the pipeline, a Mario Kart 9. At some point. There's
Mario Odyssey 2.
Right? Mario Odyssey 2. Obviously, know about Breath of the Wild 2. There's got to, we're not going to get another Smash Bros. This gen. But, because they're going to milk Smash Bros. Like crazy. Guys, next platform Nintendo brings out, Ultimate's just going to get ported with all DLC for $60.
You mean like Mario Kart 8?
Well, plus,
right now?
I think Smash Ultimate, there's an interesting conversation we'll have someday where...
I don't think Sakurai would allow that. I think he would be the one to be... No. Because people said that Ultimate was just Smash for Wii U ported with DLC and extra stuff added.
Which it totally wasn't. Totally.
It was totally not at all the same game.
It's just,
but I feel like
because the characters are HD with similar character models. It's like, well, yeah, we already HD'd the character models. We don't have to replace the entire character model every game.
Right.
Are you dumb?
Oh God, that would.
Link looks like Link and Mario looks like Mario. Who the hell knew?
Right. Yeah.
As soon as you I feel like as soon as you boot up that game and hold a controller, you can feel it's a completely different game. But but I don't know. I almost feel like Sakurai would be like, no, we're gonna go all in on this again and build it from the ground up, and because he's a mad lad like that. So he works himself to death.
So do we think Switch is on the downswing? I mean, do we? Have we hit the peak years and now are we kind of in the slow downturn where sales are just going to kind of slowly get worse year on year, or as Furukawa has said in the past, fall off a cliff, which he's trying to avoid the cliff fall, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to fall, even if it's not a cliff.
Go ahead.
I don't. People and analysts always seem to assume doom and gloom for Nintendo, that Nintendo is doomed, and that's never the case.
I mean,
and only for kids. Yeah,
to
even
be
though
fair, hold on, we gotta be fair. 3DS was the worst selling handheld of all time for them. Wii U was the worst selling home console.
Yeah,
again, this is if we don't count Virtual Boy, which
this is true.
Which people are like, oh, is that a handheld or is that a home console? I'm like, well, it's Nintendo calls it as a handheld, but it was like neither. It was a tabletop system, like one of the only tabletop systems in existence, and it sucked. So here's the thing.
It was
Nintendo had a couple of years there where they lost money for the first time since becoming a video game company. For 2 straight years, they had net losses, which had never happened in the history of the company. And at that point, I get it. The doom and gloom should be out. Nintendo isn't doing well. But, like, Nintendo is doing well now. And I guess everyone wants to be that savvy person that predicts, yeah, Nintendo's doing well, but when is that cliff coming? I want to be the one that predicted when that cliff is coming. And I keep thinking, look, I don't think they're in trouble this first half of the year. I think with the other systems not being easy to grab, with the pandemic still technically going on into the summer, and with enough solid releases coming out, you know, I'd say new Pokemon Snap. I'd say obviously Monster Hunter Rise is more than a solid release coming this month, like really soon, guys. Whether it's big in the West, I don't know, but it's going to be massive in Japan. And then, obviously, I think Skyward Sword HD is going to end up selling incredibly well, and it's going to outsell the original release quite easily, I think. So
definitely,
I think that's a solid first half of the year, but it's not. You know, you don't have like that must-have game somewhere in there, right? Unless you're a big Monster Hunter fan, there isn't that must-have game. Which, by the way, I'm super. I mean, to me, it's Mario Golf.
Yeah.
That's my must-have game right now. But that's because they added an RPG mode that I'm praying they don't mess up. Knowing Nintendo's history with sports games, it's going to be messed up. But
it's Wario's fashion. That's
I'm hoping. Yeah, there's Wario. Wario is why I'm buying that game. I love Wario. So I think we just need to be patient. I think if Nintendo really did order 250 million cartridges,
that's nuts,
and that's in addition to what they expect to sell digitally, then they clearly have major games landing they just haven't talked about yet. Because I feel like people are forgetting that Nintendo under Furukawa seems to have changed their strategy. See, they used to announce games way early, and technically they just did with Splatoon 3. But lately, a majority of their games, Paper Mario, what'd they give us? 2-month run-up. Announce, release. What'd they do for Age of Calamity? 1-month run-up. Announce, release. Done. Sold 4 million copies. It's like, clearly they're doing these shorter run-ups. Mario 35th Anniversary, they were planning to do that at E3, but it didn't happen. So there was a short run-up.
But I feel like they do that. So with games, I feel like with games that they know are just going to sell, they have no hesitation about announcing it. So Splatoon is huge, especially in Japan. So they know Splatoon 3 is going to sell. So they've got no problem. We've known Breath of
the Wild since 2019.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so for the sequel to Breath of the Wild, it's going to sell. It's going to sell really well. So they have no hesitation about announcing it early, because no matter how early they announce it, it's going to sell. Whereas these other games, where I almost feel like if they're unsure about how well it's going to do, they're going to hold off to the last minute. And then when they announce it and it's fresh on people's mind, it's still fresh and top of mind by the time it comes out, because they like only barely just announced it.
I'll say this. Were they really hesitant about Age of Calamity?
Age of Calamities, I feel like maybe because Hyrule Warriors was kind of like the first Hyrule Warriors game was kind of received lukewarm. You know, there was a lot of hype up to it, and then it came out, it was a little lukewarm. So I almost feel like they were hesitant because of that, but it obviously did end up selling really well. It's a great game. But I don't know. That one is a bit of an outlier, but a lot of the other games like that have traditionally just sold super well are always the ones that they seem to be quite out the gate with years even in advance. So lately, at least. So I don't know. I could be totally off the ball, off the marker.
And then again, then again, an unannounced game can never be delayed.
That's also true.
Because if the public doesn't externally delayed, internally yes, but because if the public never knows about it, if it's delayed a year, it doesn't matter.
But you could say that about even a game, as long as they don't put it at release date. Because I've had people.
Like people are like, Breath of the Wild delayed in 2022. I'm like, Breath of the Wild hasn't had a release date. What are you talking about?
It was never.
We have no idea what
you can't delay a game unless they say when it's going to come out. So
it's like, but they announced it. I'm like, sure, but technically they didn't even say it was for Switch when they announced it. They just announced it. It said Breath of the Wild sequel is now in development. That's it. They didn't say development for Switch. Literally, it could be not coming out for 3-4 years. I mean, it should.
Yeah.
But we don't know. Like, so I think that's a key thing that I think there's some interesting marketing strategies going on. So Sony has always done, though, we're going to tell you everything like 5 years in advance. And our games will come when they're ready. And it seems to work for them. Their systems keep selling, over 100 million, and their games have been increasing in sales. PlayStation 4, their games finally started selling like Nintendo games sell, which is, 10, 20 million. That's really good. So their strategy clearly has been paying off. Obviously, Xbox's strategy is now all about Game Pass. Even when they talked about their recent acquisition and about Bethesda, they did that sit-down roundtable, and Phil Spencer's like, hey, just telling you right now, we bought these people to put these games on Game Pass. Period. Exclusively on Game Pass. Done. Because they're pushing Game Pass. They want it to be like Netflix. And I know there's that one commenter out there that's going to tell me, Netflix hasn't made money in 10 years. You're right. And guess what? They are now projected to make profits starting this year and every year moving forward. Why didn't they make profits the last 10 years? Because they invested in themselves and got away from other people's content and invested in creating their own.
Yeah.
So now all the billions of dollars that have been invested by all their investors are going to pay off.
Yeah.
Same thing with Spotify. Didn't make all this money all this time. Just last year, turned massive profits and is already way in the green this year too. These streaming services that Microsoft is going down now with xCloud and Game Pass, it's not about profits now. It's a decade-long process to dominance. That's their strategy. Sony and Nintendo seem to have a similar strategy in the moment, in that we're going to just keep releasing a bunch of exclusive games for $60 or, in PlayStation 5's case, $70. And we're just going to keep banging that traditional drum until nobody wants to support that traditional drum anymore. So for Nintendo, when I look at the Switch, I think the Switch sales could be flat this year. I think looking at last year, considering their entire fiscal year, which we don't have the final results for yet, guys, because it's not over yet. We're in the last month of Nintendo's financial fiscal year, so we don't have final sales. We're not going to have them till April 6th or something, or is it May 6th? I can't remember. They announced already when they were going to do it, but so I'm assuming we're going to see Nintendo projected 24 million. I think it probably exceeded that, and it's probably a 26 million or so sales. So I think they could just do that again. If you think about it, they did it last year, and the biggest game was Animal Crossing, which is a huge game, but it came out before the start of the fiscal year. So I think Nintendo has something. They have probably at least 2 major games in the second half of the year, and they know it. Now, to need 250 million, software cartridges, I don't know what they need those for. That has me thinking it's something they feel like is going to sell 15, 20 million plus easy. Obviously, they probably think Pokemon's a for sure 10 million. But besides that, I'm like, well, what games could they have that could sell 15, 20 million plus? It'd be another Mario Kart game. I know some people think, they won't do it. 8 Deluxe. I'm like, why? So 8 Deluxe, congratulations. 8 Deluxe is moving 800,000 units a quarter. What sounds better, 800,000 units a quarter, or let me get 20 million in a quarter?
Yeah.
And then that game's going to continue to sell multiple millions every quarter. They're not going to release Mario Kart 9 because Mario Kart 8, okay, and Mario Kart 9 is going to sell even better every month, so why wouldn't they? It's dumb. Sure. They'd be leaving money on the table, and because it comes out so late in the life cycle, guess what? It's going to be a day one port to their next-gen platform. Mario Kart 9.
I feel like
Deluxe.
I don't understand the logic of this game sold super well, so they won't release the sequel to that game.
Because it keeps selling well.
But even still, even if it's still selling well,
the only game,
you said,
the only game I
because even the people who are like me, who are wishy-washy on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I still haven't bought the game, but it's always that one that's always kind of like, I always feel like I'm on the cusp of buying it.
Yeah.
But if they So people like me who are wishy-washy, 9 comes out, I'll be like, yeah, I'll buy it right away.
Yeah,
because
it's new.
The reason I'm wishy-washy about 8 is, I bought the original.
And
do I need a deluxe?
When is the shoe going to drop for 9?
What had Zelda in the DLC? Come on now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's so I feel like that would be the push to now I'll go buy Mario Kart. And everyone who's already bought 8 Deluxe is going to jump to Mario Kart to 9. Definitely. Yeah.
I feel like the only game they have where you could argue a sequel is tough in the same gen, well, Smash Bros. It just takes too long.
Yeah.
And now I don't know. After Ultimate, I don't know how you follow up Ultimate at all, because any reduction in characters for a new game is going to be bloody backlash galore. And so I don't know. I feel like they're going to milk Ultimate a whole nother gen. I think they're going to Ultimate Deluxe it for a gen and just leave it on the back burner for a decade plus.
They'll keep adding stages and characters to it.
Yeah, maybe they'll even do a new fighter pass for it next gen or something. I don't know.
Future of Switch, and if it's going to survive. Well, yeah.
I think it's going to do just fine.
Oh, yeah,
I think the concept is novel and
for sure. I think right now we're just kind of in a downturn, like a kind of a camel hump. I see it coming back up here. You know, the pandemic I think hurt a little bit. It kind of messed with their plans, I'm guessing.
But did it?
It benefited them in a lot of ways.
To a certain extent, yeah.
Let's put it this way. Switch sold out during its 4th year on the market, and you couldn't find it in the stores. And it wasn't because they stopped making it. Like, they had a slowdown in manufacturing, but they still almost sold 30 million in its 4th year, and they've never had a platform come out and peak during the 4th year.
Right.
So clearly the pandemic helped them. Didn't hurt them.
I'm talking games-wise.
Sure.
Kind of the lull in games. I think the pandemic possibly screwed with their... We don't know, because we're never going to know if Breath of the Wild 2 has been delayed.
Let me put on my Player Essence hat and tell you about how, hey, guess what? Switch actually didn't have a lull in games in 2020 and actually released just as many games as they did the year before.
I mean...
I'm going to say, factually, there was plenty of new games and plenty of ports as well. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying that, I say Animal Crossing, but think about it. They ended the year strong with a new game.
Okay, so...
We technically got a new Mario Kart.
Okay, yes, the number of games may have been the same.
Mario.
But the quality of games, the major hitters...
So you're saying that Mario Kart Home Circuit is not a quality hitter for you?
Age of Calamity is not tickling that.
Yeah.
No, Age of Calamity doing Animal Crossing is just garbage?
Well, I wasn't much of an Animal Crossing fan to begin with, so there's that. I mean...
Oh, here we go.
I know.
Here we go.
Chad's
what else Paper Mario is just dog shit now. Just might as well just throw that one in the garbage. Doesn't matter.
No, but Eric has a point, because you look at the Switch's launch year, you have Zelda, Breath of the Wild, huge, Mario Odyssey, Splatoon. That's a crazy launch year just to have just those 3, as opposed, and there's all the other little titles here and there, but that launch year, that's a great lineup. And it's almost hard to live up to that afterwards. Well, so 2020,
but Nintendo did that intentionally, because Wii U tanked. So
for sure.
Look, we don't know if Switch is going to be successful, but we're going to give it everything we have and pray it works.
For sure. But I can see a lot of people being kind of, not that they're right about it, but I can understand the perspective of saying that it's not as good a year.
Here's what I'll say. Look at what happened in 2017. Then look at what happened in 2018. It felt like kind of a down year in comparison, right? Then we got to 2019. Boy, they blew us the hell out in 2019. Astral Chain, Daemon X Machina, Luigi's Mansion 3, Pokemon Sword and Shield. I'm forgetting a couple too in there. They had 2 or 3 other
Starlink.
Starlink.
Well, I mean, that wasn't Nintendo, but...
I think it came out in 2018, actually. At the end of 2018. Maybe
Possible,
it was 2019.
It was in that same E3 as the other ones.
But I think that...
I think.
No, Starlink was at E3 2018.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, that was the first time we went to Nintendo.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Wasn't at the last one. The last one, remember, was Pokemon.
Yeah.
Sword
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then they had Link's Awakening.
Big Luigi's Mansion.
God, I'm losing track of my years and which ones we
haven't been to that.
No, I know.
How old are you, Eric?
Dude, my memory is terrible.
You know what?
Yeah.
It's time for you to retire from the podcast. You can't even remember what we've done, you bastard. It's only been 3 times. One was all Zelda, so that's easy to remember.
Right.
Nothing but Zelda. But the other 2 years, they're very distinct at what we did those years.
Sure.
I could tell you every game I touched at every E3 I've been
there you go. I don't have that. I just don't have
This
the
lets you know
care
how,
to.
guys, it's official. Eric hasn't been a gamer in 20 years.
Oh no.
That's right. I'm kicking you back to like mid-teens.
13. Okay. 13?
13,
Sure.
14.
Sure.
Before
I
you
guess.
became all about your band and your friends and stop having our all-night game sessions.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. I haven't been a gamer since then.
He hasn't been a gamer since. It's just official. Like,
Yeah.
all you guys watch are like, man, I would remember everything I do at E3. And Eric's like, he's some industry veteran that's been to 30 of them.
Yeah.
I've had so many great memories, I can't even recall them all. That's just how it goes.
It's also been a couple years, and I just don't keep that part of things in my memory. Yes,
But
I remember playing games.
You remember Fat Tomato Pizza.
Oh, damn straight.
So see where his priorities are? The food we eat while we're there.
Have you seen me?
Yeah, but that suggests that you're a gamer that lives in his parents' basement.
Well, second floor, but yeah.
You're on the same level. You're all good. Same level.
Yeah, I'm not in the basement.
No, that was when
go.
we were kids. We
Yeah.
gamed in the basement.
Yeah, we
at
did.
both houses.
Yeah, we did.
But no, enough teasing. Let's get into the last topic. Zelda's 35th anniversary. Now, we did a whole podcast on this a bit ago, but I know that Captain Bergeson happens to be a pretty big Zelda guy over there. I know
I
this
do the Zelda videos.
because, I mean, he does Zelda videos. Hello, Dragon Break. You guys seen that video on my channel? That was him. That was all him. Way back in the Zelda Informer days. In fact, Zelda Informer is how I met him. So, what do you realistically, not wishful thinking, realistically think that Nintendo is going to do for Zelda's 35th anniversary? Keeping in mind that it seems like in the past, for the 20th and 25th, they did more than they did for the Mario anniversary. For some ungodly reason.
I think it's because Zelda fans just buy up merch, so they know they can do. You know, like everyone loves Mario. Mario sells; it appeals to everybody. But
Mario's
Zelda
a piece
fans
of
have. Whoa! That's nuts. Those are fake ones. I love Mario.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're not wrong considering that if I remember correctly,
He's a plumber.
in the original Mario Super Mario Brothers, that all those blocks were technically toads.
Were they?
If I remember right, in the lore.
Oh boy.
So whenever you were breaking blocks, I'm pretty sure you were
on this. He just redeemed his gamer card. All right, I don't know that little nugget of history. All right,
I'm almost positive.
he's pulling out. He's got a "Did you know" gaming hat on.
Well, actually, also too, if I remember correctly as well, in the pamphlet for the original Mario 2, it says Mario is our hero, and in parentheses, maybe.
So
Maybe because maybe they just meant
I don't know.
Luigi.
I could be wrong.
Eric is
could be wrong.
desperately. Someone better fact check him because I'm not going to bother
I'm
to do it.
guaranteeing.
Someone better fact check him because he's trying to redeem his gamer card right now, and he might have just did it masterfully. It just proved to me he's a Mario savant, and I'm just an idiot. All right,
bitch.
I am an idiot.
Sorry. Back to Zelda. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
What do you think they're going to do?
Well, trying to temper my expectations, of course, but I feel, first of all, I don't think they're going to announce anything until Skyward Sword HD has had a chance to sell. Because if they came out the gate and they're like, oh, Breath of the Wild 2 is coming, or any other announcement that's hype as heck, it will completely overshadow and undermine Skyward Sword's divisive already existence. And so, which by the way, it's a great game. Definitely go give it a chance, guys. It's great, and it's going to be great on Switch. But
I just did a video about why you guys should play it. Go play it. It's awesome.
There you go. Go watch Nate's videos. But yeah, I feel like they know Skyward Sword sold pretty poorly on the Wii. They know it's divisive among the community, so they're going to want to keep the spotlight on that to make sure that it sells properly. And then I think after the end of summer, maybe September, around that time, late August, early September, they're going to come out. We're going to have a proper direct, I hope. I really think they will. And I think that it'll be fairly comparable to the Mario 35 stuff. They're going to probably have it release games up until like the end of the first quarter of 2022. What those games are, I couldn't say for sure. I don't think it's going to be the sequel to Breath of the Wild. I don't think that game is coming out until probably late 2022, but I think we could see some other ports or collections or something like that. So.
Boo!
I that's my unpopular opinion.
All right, time to turn the TV off.
Yeah. This podcast episode is never getting posted.
Yeah.
Oh no, I really don't think Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out this year because I feel like if it were,
but what
we'd
about
be
by the
hearing
end of
about
March
it.
31st?
Because
they ran
maybe.
Mario through the 31st.
Yeah.
So
I could see it coming out for March around the time Breath of the Wild turns 5. Then Breath of the Wild's off to kindergarten and its sequel comes along. So,
yeah.
But
so I'm just trying to keep the hope alive. Trying to keep the hope alive. Well,
I think more realistically, we're looking probably the later end of 2022. Not to be pessimistic, but I just think that we'd be hearing more about it if it were coming sooner. Because it's not like, and true. I know the marketing strategy lately has been that they've
not the marketing strategy, because they already announced the game. They just have to tell us when it's going to come and it's going to sell.
Right.
I mean, I look at it like
they
this.
Could announce at any time.
Think about it like this. Think about it like this. Hey, I'm gonna use Breath of the Wild as an example because they announced that at E3 2014, showed it a little bit at the Game Awards, and then boom, didn't see it again until they announced it's going to come to a new platform.
11-second teaser for it the next year when they were showing Twilight Princess HD, and then they said, "Don't forget, the next Zelda game's coming out only for Wii U."
Yep.
This year.
Yeah, I remember that. That was bad. That was bad.
An 11-second
but put it this way: but when they announced it was quote unquote delayed, we didn't see it again until E3 2016, and.
Right.
The only reason it didn't go from E3 to holiday release is because the Switch didn't release yet. The game would have came out if the Switch would have released that holiday. But for some reason, and I think the reason was to line up their game releases because it wasn't that Mario and Zelda weren't ready, it's that they wanted to make sure the in-between games were going to land. They basically were like, dude, 9 months, we need something major every other month, period, end of story. Because we don't know if Switch is going to be successful. We want to hit it with Splatoon. We want to hit it at the right time with these releases. So clearly, I think Switch was just pushed out to March just because they needed time to line everything up. But if Switch had released at holiday, there's no doubt that so would have Breath of the Wild. So I look at it as okay. Let's say Nintendo chooses to participate on E3, which by the way, guys. I know E3's canceled, quote unquote, but they are planning a digital event, and Microsoft has now confirmed they are partaking in that digital event, which means the E3 digital event is going to happen. So if Microsoft's there, then Nintendo is likely going to be there as well. And if Nintendo's there, they could show off the game there and release it this holiday, which is probably what would have happened originally with Breath of the Wild. Now, that's my speculation, because we don't know that Nintendo's there. Obviously, Microsoft could decide to back out. I think they want to be there because they have a lot of big announcements from Bethesda they want to show off.
Yeah.
So they want to get as big an audience as they can, and they know that an E3 audience, even just online only, will draw in a bigger crowd than just their own Xbox channels. So, and Microsoft's fully invested in the future, not necessarily making money now, because I think the only thing working against the ESA and E3 is they're charging the same amount of money to be on these live streams as they do if you had a booth.
No, Jesus. Of course.
But this isn't a physical booth, and these places like Nintendo can just do their own directs on their own channels and don't need you.
Yeah.
Digitally.
That feels like a poor
and here's the thing. In the past,
decision.
Think about it in the past, too. All the press conferences that have happened over the past, ESA doesn't charge you a fee to have those press conferences. You pay the venues where you're holding those press conferences at. You don't pay the ESA. You pay the ESA for showtime or for show floor space. The ESA, technically the press conferences were never ran by E3. I know.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think that there's a situation arising at the moment where we need to be careful in thinking, or I guess I asked your opinion, and I appreciate your opinion.
Of course, and I could be wrong.
Well,
of course,
I think
I would love to be wrong and it come out sooner. Right?
None of us know. None of us know. It might not even come in 2022.
And you're not alone in your opinion either. I mean, there's plenty of people out there that are thinking it's definitely not going to be. It's
like all the people that tell me Switch Pro isn't real. They might be right.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm not Nintendo. You know? We do know Breath of the Wild 2 exists. Because they keep reminding us it exists. At some point, they got to show. I mean, they said we're going to see it this year, so at least have that to look forward. Wait. He didn't say see it. Let's clarify. There will be news.
Yes.
The news could be it's coming next year, and we have nothing for you but a title.
Cool.
I mean, I would hope better than no news.
I would hope there'd be more, but
well, I would hope it would be a trailer. We're
gonna get another 11-second tease.
They have to have more. My thought is this: I personally think Breath of the Wild 2 is already done, and I think it's been done. I think they're polishing it absolutely and improving performance and all that jazz, but it uses the same engine, uses the same art direction. They don't need 5 years, even with a pandemic, to turn around a new game.
True.
They just don't. They're taking as much time from release as it took to get a brand new engine built for Breath of the Wild. They don't need that much time to do this. So,
and not just the engine, which caused delays for Breath of the Wild, but they are, I think Aonuma said that they are basically setting it in the same overworld as well. Yeah. So most of the physical map is built. And
they're going to do differences and changes and make it worth exploring again.
They'll tweak things.
But my thing is, clearly, they don't need 6 years to put together this game. And that's what it would be entering into next year towards the holidays. So I look at this as, even with the pandemic, let's say just toss out a year of development. Yeah. That's still 3 years of development. I can't imagine that they don't have something not only ready to show, but I think they're just waiting for the right time to release it. And I think what they saw was the original plan, and I think this was the plan before last year happened, before the pandemic happened. They always knew they were blowing out the 35th anniversary of Mario. They were going to do it at E3. They didn't just plan that overnight. They knew that in 2019 that they were going to do this. Okay, so they knew we're not going to release it during Mario's year. We're going to let Mario have its slight. Maybe there's a Mario game that got pushed out of it. Maybe Mario Golf was supposed to be part of it at some point, and that got pushed out. But whatever. They probably were always thinking, look, that's fine. 35th anniversary. Let's target it for Zelda, and let's have it come out then. Let's make Zelda the focus that year and actually have a brand new game come out during that timetable. Because I'm not saying that it's been done since 2019, folks, but I'm saying I think it's been pretty damn far along. I think when we saw that initial trailer in 2019, that wasn't just like a tease of a concept of an idea like Breath of the Wild was in 2014. Which, by the way, when we saw Breath of the Wild again later that year, when they showed actual gameplay, they had an overworld. They had the towers. They had the Sheikah Slate. They clearly it wasn't called, we didn't know it was called the Sheikah Slate. We didn't know that's what they were using because they were using the Wii U gamepad. But they clearly were much further along in development at that time than just that little teaser at E3. And I think that's true here. I think they're way far in development here. And I don't know if you care about what Game Over Jesse has to say, but it sounds like some voice acting recordings could be coming up. That usually happens towards the end. We'll see. He's not willing to confirm or deny because obviously he's not supposed to know anything if he does know anything. But I'm just throwing out there that, like, if they're thinking about recording sometime like this summer or this spring, I don't know. It feels like, I don't know. Suspiciously, I'll just say this. Suspiciously, the voice actors from the prior Zelda games have stopped appearing on podcasts. Not just your guys, it's in general. Because they were appearing on, they've been on podcasts consistently, multiple of them for like the last 3-4 years. And now they just stopped. And why would they need to stop? Maybe because they know some shit they can't talk about. And it's too hard to have them speak publicly and trust something isn't going to slip.
They're good at not talking.
Oh, yeah,
like
they are.
Our podcast, we had Sean Chiplock, the voice of Rivali and the Great Deku Tree. And it was like only a couple weeks before Age of Calamity was announced. And we asked him all these questions and just never a peep about it.
Well,
anything. He
likes his job.
I mean, NDAs exist. He
doesn't
knows
want to
it's
lose his job too.
But
I'm sure
felt so silly for scheduling it
based on how Nintendo handles their like how they pay their employees. I'm guessing that a voice acting job at Nintendo is probably a pretty sweet gig. Wouldn't want to blow the fact that, hey, you're the voice of some major characters in Zelda. I want to be that voice. So I want to be the Charles Martinet and be voicing this thing for 20 years. I'm not gonna like Charles Martinet's talking everywhere and never says a peep about anything, and he knows what he's been working on.
Well, I mean, when your lines are wah, and woohoo,
yeah,
I mean,
maybe you don't.
Every now and then he's got some new lines.
Yeah,
he does. He said it on at Con, I think 2 years ago, that he does still record new lines for games. So like, there are new. Maybe it's just because they don't want it to seem like it's the same Wahoo they've been using for 20 years.
I mean,
but it's got to have a little bit of difference. Mario has to age a little bit.
No, don't worry.
Plus, he's the voice of a lot of other Mario characters.
No, I know. No, so I didn't go Wahoo. I went Wahoo.
And then he just went Wah.
Yeah.
There's a new voice for a new character.
Yes. The inflection was slightly different.
Well, I mean,
although they're not against reusing things like that for Yoshi. I think Yoshi's Woolly World was the first time they re-recorded new lines for Yoshi since Yoshi's story on the N64.
Yeah,
they have just been reusing
Yoshi sound bits for years. Oh my god!
Yeah.
But Yoshi was also like not exactly a massive seller, so like they're like, why invest?
And not, I mean, Mario more diversity in his range of emotions.
Like have they ever recorded a new sucking sound for Kirby?
No. That's.
I actually like even in Smash Bros. Ultimate. I swear it's the same sucking sound from the Game Boy.
I think the first two Smash games had a different sucking sound, and then they, as like a design choice, went back to like the Game Boy,
right? Like I'm pretty sure that's the sound effect. It's a vacuum.
Yeah, pretty much a vacuum sound. Yeah.
But
and then they're like, let's go back to this the classic Game Boy sound effect, so that it's a stylistic choice, right?
Stylistic choice. It also happens to be super easy in a really small file size.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
Kirby. See, guys, you ever want to know? Here's the thing: as long as Sakurai's alive, you'll never have to worry about Kirby getting proper treatment, because he'll always get proper treatment in Smash games. If you're a Kirby fan, don't worry about the actual Kirby games being made now. Sakurai's got nothing to do with those. But you want to see Kirby treated with respect. Why is he always the lead hero in a Smash game? Know your Kirby history. Come on now.
Well, Sakurai claims it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, no, it's just conveniently the character you invented is always like the primary hero, not Mario. Oh no, can't be Mario, the mascot. That would make sense. Yeah. Oh no, it's Kirby.
At least
everyone gets booted away, and who's
the
left?
Option between Mario and Kirby.
Everyone gets booted away, and who's left? Oh, it's Kirby. Of course, Kirby's left the one that's going to save the day.
Outrun it. So
his ability,
because he was busy saving Pikachu. That's why.
Yeah.
So that's why Sonic dies. He was busy trying to save Pikachu. Kirby's too selfish. That's why.
And that's the grand takeaway for this podcast.
Kirby is too selfish. Yeah.
Damn it. All right, folks. So I think it's going to wrap it up here for episode 4 of the Nintendo Pride podcast. I want to thank our special guest, Captain Bergeson, for coming on. Do you have any new content or appearances you're going to be on that you can let them know about?
Oh, of course. So you can always check out my channel. It's just called Cap Bergeson. I do a lot of Zelda videos. And I just wrapped up a dungeon design analysis series on Ocarina of Time. And it's it's one of the most fun series I've worked on. I genuinely love it.
I'm sure it's epically amazing, and I'm jealous that you still don't make videos for my channel.
I'm sorry. I spread myself quite thin sometimes, to be honest. Other than that, though, you can always find me on Game Over Jesse's channel and the Hylian Gamescast, which is a very nice Zelda-centric podcast. It's not quite as well-rounded Nintendo. But and occasionally I do some scripting and editing and voicing for videos there, too. So pretty much in every video of his, I at least had a hand in it, even though it's not always obvious. But usually it's even just consulting or tweaking his scripts and stuff. So, or fact checking him. So,
so you're the one that I was wondering who fact checked for him. I kept thinking, I'm like, okay, some of these things you're saying, Jesse, I remember you. Someone's fact checking you because you used to get a lot of stuff wrong, and now suddenly you're not.
Oh, well, I can't. The Jesse's a super smart guy. I can't take all the credit.
Well, especially now.
He knows
he's doing
stuff.
a lot better now this year. Obviously, I'm not going to get into the stuff that happened last year. He was talking to me about it. It's pretty rough, but
yeah, he had a rough year, but this year's been going pretty well on the channel there. So it's
he's almost to 100,000. You guys should go subscribe to Game Over Jesse and subscribe to Cap Ferguson. And I don't know, anyone else you want to shout out while you're here? We got an audience for like 3,000 or so watching.
Oh gosh, I don't know. The pressure's too high.
The pressure's too high.
Any Twitter or anything like that? Social media?
Yeah, of course. Any and all social medias: Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. I do live streams of Zelda as
TikTok.
well, among other games. On my Twitch channel, also Capped Ferguson. So it's great.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Time. Thank you so much for tuning in. That was a fun podcast. And I'll catch you up. I don't know, whenever I catch you again. You and your Ewin racing chair. I'm jealous.
Yes. There we go.
It's my favorite color. Ugh.
It's good. I chose blue.
All right, folks. You can check out the podcast on all of your favorite podcasting places. We have the audio version on literally everything from Spotify through iTunes, Google Play. It's literally anywhere that you potentially have ever thought to listen to podcasts before. Just look up Nintendo Prime Podcast. If you are listening to the audio version, you have to check out the video version. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel, Nintendo Prime. Just search it right in the search and it'll pop up. We have a video version that I think looks pretty good, outside of the fact that we're totally not on camera right now, but we're having some malfunctions.
New camera.
We have a new camera, so there's some quirks I got to sort out with it, like why it's still on the camera, but not through the HDMI cable. I don't know. There's probably some setting I got to mess with, but it's okay. I promise we will be back on camera in full next week because I will sort it out, even if I have to get up every 10 minutes and hit record. I'll make it happen. So don't worry, folks. I got you. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Catch you in the next episode.
Bye.